as promised, we are back, and it is to talk with the fantastic Jason Spiess because it is Friday, and this is what we get, and it's awesome. How are you doing today?
Excellent. How are you doing today on this fantastic festive Friday, day after Halloween? If we talk about today, what do you have something in mind, or?
Oh no, I'm kind of interested to hear what you've got going on. It's not terribly often that I come across something. That one was just you were the only person I could think of to just speak now.
Sure. Well, one of the things I thought would be kind of interesting to talk about today, since it's being so close to Halloween, is bats. Are you familiar with bats?
Like the animal that leaves guano that's fantastic fertilizer?
The animal bat, right, correct.
Okay.
So, bat, I've got major issues personally when it comes to wind energy. I don't see a lot of benefits. I don't see a lot of economic benefits. Obviously, I do a lot of oil and gas reporting, so people might be quick to say, "Hey, he's a champion for oil and gas, this and that," and that's not true. I've been a big proponent of oil and gas responsibility, the way they've been handling things, and I've been very quick to point out I don't think wind energy is even close to where they say they're going to be. I think solar has potential still. I think solar's making some tortoise type strides. I've said it before that the only thing that I think solar's done that's economical and affordable to the average person is something to charge your cell phone, or something maybe when you're camping, some very limited uses that is not to rely on by any means. Wind, I think the farmers were more efficient 150 years ago than we are today with wind energy. But bats, I want to get to bats. One of the problems with wind energy is bats. They've never been able to solve this problem. They have gotten better with birds. They still kill millions of birds every year, and people don't know that. Wind energy in the U.S. game and fish, wildlife, all these organizations from the top down know this. Wind energy is projected to make the golden eagle extinct in Southwest America. So in the southern, western half, quarter, quadrant, whatever, of the United States, the rate that wind energy turbines, the wind spinners, the rate that they're killing golden eagles, they'll be extinct in like 30 years. That's a fact. And people in the government knew it, and what ended up happening is the Obama administration passed a law that made renewable wind energy immune from being prosecuted for something like that. There was a case that happened in Wyoming with Duke University where some wind turbines were killing eagles, and they were getting fined for it because it's a major offense if you kill an eagle. And wind turbines kill eagles all the time. Eagles are looking down, trying to find prey. They're not looking above for a wind turbine, and then they get smacked by a wind turbine. With bats, the problem with bats is they're attracted to the turbines. For some reason, either the vibration or the radiation or the hum, whatever it is, they're attracted to the wind turbines, and they don't die right away. They get hit, and then they die later there's an actual term for it. It's like a blunt force trauma, but it's like batorama trauma. It's a word I can't pronounce. So the bats are a real problem. And now when it comes to economics, now we're going to take emotion out of this, because you know me, I love the birds, bees, and all the trees. But when we're talking about money and science, we do have to take emotion out of it. And the way that the government looks at birds and bees and bats is birds don't have a value, but bats do. Because bats do a lot with mosquito control. They do a lot with pest control. One bat can eat 1,000 mosquitoes in an hour.
That's pretty intense.
Isn't that crazy? So you think about a swarm of these bats, tens of thousands of mosquitoes are getting eaten by bats, as well as other bugs. And so in heavy agricultural areas, there's a significant value for bats, and also with pollination too. So what they found over the last 10 years is that in all these places where you're seeing wind turbines going up for ag land and this and that, these crops that are subsidized, well, the land insects are increasing because the bats are getting knocked out of the sky. And so the cropland is getting damaged. So then you got to go subsidize that too. This is what wind energy is honestly doing. It's killing birds, bats, and bees. I mean, I one day we can spend the whole time where I'm just going to get off and go off about the amount of bees that wind turbines kill. The studies that have been done, the scientific studies that have been done in Europe over the last decade are mind-blowing at how they're just decimating insects. And, I mean, people, listen, we're not talking about mosquitoes. We're not talking about bed bugs here. We're talking about an ecosystem that makes things go around. And now you're introducing a piece of energy that doesn't even match up with the current energy we're using. It's not reliable, and then we're going to wipe out ecosystems at the same time and say this is green?
Well, I mean, not only that, but bees have actually been recently labeled as the single most valuable species of living being on the planet, because essentially without them, everything else dies.
You're going to have to repeat that. I can barely hear you.
My face here. No, what I was saying was that I had just read something where bees have been labeled the single most important living species on the planet, because essentially without them, everything else dies.
Yeah, there's been that ripple effect for a long time with the colony collapse disorder and bees, and it is true. Bees do a lot of pollinating. Honey brings us a lot of different things. There's antihistamine. There's those type of properties in bees. There's I've read old wives' tales and holistic studies and read enough literature to at least colloquially and anecdotally tell you this. I don't know if it's scientifically true or not, but that if you have honey that is produced by bees within a 3-mile radius, and it can be like even 10, then it's a natural antihistamine. What it does is it creates natural pollen fighters and natural.
That is true.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons they say not to give it to babies, is because there is actual medicinal properties, and it could be a little bit too potent for a baby. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Liquid gold.
That's right. So, I mean, these are some things that are going on in wind energy, and I thought the bats was a good Halloween topic. I've kind of been on a soapbox against wind energy the last few weeks, but that's what's going on, to be honest. There's a lot of other stuff happening, but the one thing that really does worry me the most is this crash course to get rid of fossil fuels. And I'll tell you, there's a natural evolution of a pullback on fossil fuels at the same time a ramp up for innovation for cleaner energy happening. That's been going on. This has been going on for a long time. Actually, that pull away from hydrocarbons and ramp for innovation for cleaner energy has been going on for over 150 years, since Abe Lincoln was president, basically. And this happened. This trend of reducing hydrocarbons from burning wood. That's another thing, by the way, the California wildfires, and in the name of green energy, and you get wildfires that end up being more pollutinous to our environment than fossil fuels or coal ever was. I mean, burning the forests like that is putting just tons of terrible pollutant. Have you read some of the seen some of the studies that these wood fires can do for lungs and people exposed to it?
No, not in any kind of depth. No.
It's remarkable, and it has to do with the molecular level to where it gets in your bloodstream.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and California was looking at banning campfires this year. I mean, they were totally. They were just all in. But a lot of the issue with not trimming back the trees and not doing the cuts that this energy company was taking have to point to their forcing to go to renewables because they had to do so much to have wind energy, and it wasn't working during times when people needed energy, and during the times when people necessarily didn't, there was an overabundance of energy needed because the wind and the sun were going at the same time, and at night neither of them were going. I mean, people still needed energy, and so they needed to heat their homes or whatever else. So it's an interesting crash course that we're taking here. And I guess part of why I've been on wind lately is because, to me, that's the low-hanging fruit of renewables that I think the average person can take a step back and say, this is a really dumb idea. It's not a bad idea. It's not a crazy idea. It's just a dumb idea. Wind energy blows. It's just a dumb idea. Can you imagine what's going to happen in 30 years? All of those beautiful landscapes in South Dakota, when nobody's going to pay for those things. There has never been one of those giant wind turbines taken down. So nobody knows how much it's going to cost. Nobody has any idea how much it's going to cost to take down those wind turbines. And I'll tell you what, those farmers, they're just going to let them sit up there.
Probably.
They don't even take down barns. Barns that it looks like if a sparrow landed on some of those barns you drive by on 85, I mean, it looks like it would fall right over. But they have to fall down naturally to get the insurance money. So that's why the farmers aren't going to take them down. They don't get the insurance money then. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of different steps you got to take and things like that. But wind energy is this big, shining star for green energy. And that's really the wrong direction to go. The green energy should be focused on the innovation. Somebody should really take a look at all the green energy that's gone into cleaning up coal. They should take a look at the green energy that's gone into cleaning up the fossil fuel industry. How we've gone down to just one carbon molecule with a bunch of hydros around it with natural gas. I mean, Elon Musk would be nothing without government subsidies in natural gas. He wouldn't even exist. People wouldn't even know his name without natural gas and government subsidies. Oh, totally. I mean, he has that big power plant out in Nevada. That's I think 85% of it's powered by natural gas. So he needs the natural gas to power the batteries to give to his people that get the cars, and in order to make the cars, he has to get government subsidies. See what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it's a kangaroo court. It's unreal. It really is. And there's even one of those with Xcel Energy to where, a lot of these utilities have monopolies that are sponsored by the governments, and in return they can't make a profit unless they build new infrastructure. They can put a percentage on there. Well, these wind turbines, boy, they give Xcel Energy the right to put up new infrastructure, so then they can make a profit. I mean, that's where we've come to in today's world, where we have to meet shareholder demands and profits and quarterly reports and that sort of thing. And subsidies and for the public good. It's a crazy circus out there. And I know it sounds like either I'm complaining or I'm picking on, or I'm just actually kind of reporting at some of the things that have been going on to make these things happen. Yeah, it's
I like it. I think it was a good topic.
Oh, we lost you again. We lost you again.
We will. I said no. I like it. It was a good topic for this week. Absolutely. We will probably need to wrap it up though. We're looking at 16 minutes. And I love the
jeepers! Look at that.
I know, right? Time gets away.
So what I'll leave you with is that bats prey on insects that feed on crops, saving the U.S. agricultural industry more than $3 billion a year in pesticide costs alone. They control insects, they pollinate commercial crops, and they do a number of different things to the point to where Duke University biologist Tim Hayes says, I cannot think of another mammal that does more for people in terms of pest control and pollinating plants. So bat lives matter.
Bat lives matter, for sure.
We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Jason. It was awesome talking to you.